Samantha Snyder, and I serve as Franklin University Switzerland's Associate Director of Admissions and U.S. Operations. I'm very happy to be coming to you today to chat about the student visa process for the upcoming spring semester. Please be aware that all U.S. citizens and permanent residents are required to obtain a Swiss student visa for entry into Switzerland and to enroll at Franklin. Your visa must be received prior to you leaving the U.S. Please note the following presentation is specifically designed for U.S. citizens and permanent residents of the United States or anyone in the United States on a valid visa. Our staff is happy to help provide instructions and support as you go through this process, but final approval and processes in general are governed by the Swiss authorities and the Swiss representation here in the United States. There tends to be a decent amount of stress from some families about the student visa process. I can assure you that as long as you follow the step-by-step instructions in this video and in the guides that are included in the student portal, you will be on your way to receiving your student visa. Franklin has never had an American citizen or permanent resident be denied a student visa to come to study at Franklin, and I very much doubt that you will be the first. Thank you for your attention. Let's go ahead and get started.
First and foremost, all instructions and any related documentation that you need for your Swiss student visa application can be found within your student portal. You should navigate to your student portal if you have not already and find the tab that shows Immigration. Under that tab, you will find a section that begins with "Please read the instructions for applying for a Swiss student visa." Any information that you need will be located within your portal. Please do not reference any other sites on the internet to complete the application. Let's touch on what a student visa is and why you need one. U.S. citizens, and depending on your passport, permanent residents may enter Switzerland without a visa for tourism purposes, and you'd be allowed to stay for 3 months or 90 days. However, if you are entering Switzerland for a study, or if you're entering Switzerland for longer than 90 days, which a standard semester is longer than 90 days, you must receive permission from the Swiss government to enter the country and live there. Without this permission, you would be considered an illegal immigrant. A Swiss student visa is permission from the Swiss government for you to move to Switzerland to study for the amount of time related to your enrollment status at Franklin, whether that be for a semester or up to 4 years. The visa will be a sticker that will be placed in your passport by the Swiss immigration authorities. Without this sticker, you cannot enter Switzerland. When you enter the country or nearby Italy, the authorities will look for this sticker to verify that you have permission to enter the country. The photo on your screen is from your student portal, and we ask that you read all the information very, very carefully. The arrow you see is pointing to a document that outlines all the requirements which must be gathered and submitted to the Swiss representation for your Swiss student visa. We strongly recommend that you download this document, print it out, and again follow the instructions step by step to gather all the materials that must be submitted. We will be going over each of the steps today.
We suggest that you start this process immediately. Your Swiss student visa application must be submitted no later than December 1st. Any later than December 1st will jeopardize your ability to receive your visa in time to study at Franklin. This process does take 8 to 10 weeks from initial submission to receiving the sticker in your passport. Your passport must be valid until January 2025 with at least 2 blank pages. If your passport is expiring before then, you must have it renewed as soon as possible. To be on the safe side, you should expedite the renewal of your passport. You may even need to receive a same-day passport. It is extremely important to work with your admissions counselor at Franklin in order to navigate this process. A Swiss consulate or embassy will process the Swiss student visa application. There are 4 representations here in the United States that process visa applications: New York, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., and San Francisco. The consulate or embassy with which you will work is determined by your home address, and that information is included later in this presentation. There's a list of documents that you need to gather and submit in order to receive a student visa. If you go back to the document that I referenced before under the blue arrow, it will include all 11 or 12 documents that you need to gather and mail to the appropriate Swiss representation. Let's go through each of these documents together.
The first document that you need are 3 copies of the National Type D, D as in dog, visa application form, fully completed and signed by the student. We've included a link to the form underneath the visa video within your student portal. Some areas in the form are pre-populated for you. Please download the visa application form template in your portal. Note that the signature on each of the 3 documents must be a wet signature. You may not sign with an electronic signature and they should not be copied. We recommend that you fill in the other fields, copy, and then sign all 3 copies. Once you've completed those, put those to the side and move on to step number 2. Step number 2 is for recent passport photos, and these must be recent. Be aware that Swiss passport photo sizes and requirements are different than the standard U.S. photo size. The specific Swiss photo requirements are located on the document sheet within your portal. It will be important you take those specifications with you to the passport photo agency, like Walgreens, CVS, or Walmart. The difference is that the Swiss student visa photo requirements are narrower than standard U.S. photo sizes. Worst case scenario, if you cannot have the individual print you the right size, you may cut the photos down to the appropriate size in millimeters. You'll need to receive 4 passport photos. These photos do not need to be attached to the application, they just need to be included in the application packet. Number 3. You will need to include 2 color photocopies of the photo and signature page of your passport. When you open your passport, the first page should be the documentation with your photo, and above is the page with your signature. Make sure your passport is signed before you make copies. Again, you'll need 2 color photocopies of each of those pages. Item number 4. This one only relates to those in the U.S. who are permanent residents, aka green card holders, or anyone with a visa to live in the U.S. If you are a U.S. citizen, please do not submit anything. There is no proof of residency required for U.S. citizens. Again, please do not misunderstand this requirement, as it is only for those with a green card or a visa in the U.S. Step number 5 is an official enrollment certificate on Franklin University Switzerland letterhead. Step number 6 is a confirmation of payment of university fees and Swiss medical insurance coverage. These 2 requirements are super easy because we provide them for you. All you have to do is print 2 copies and include those with your student visa application. So for the confirmation of payment letter, it doesn't matter that you've not paid your bill yet. We state that we have an agreement with you, so we know it's going to happen, and that's all that matters. The letter that you submit will suffice for this requirement. Both letters are provided to you within your student portal. On the Home tab, if you scroll down, you'll see Status Update. You'll click on View Update, just like you see on your screen. There you'll see your admit letter. And if you scroll down, you will see a box, and the first letter is the enrollment certificate. Where that box is, in the top right corner, you will see 2 arrows, and then you'll see a PDF icon. The 2 arrows, if you click that, it will take you to the second page, which is the confirmation of payment letter. Then to print both of the documents, you'll just click on the PDF icon. It'll download to your computer, and then you'll print 2 copies of each. If the 2 letters have not been included in your portal, please don't worry. The forms will be uploaded soon. Keep checking your portal every day to see if they become available. Once they are, download the forms and add these to the other forms to submit with your visa.
Number 7 is extremely important: financial support. All students must report parental or guardian support regardless of who is actually paying for Franklin. It does not matter if your aunt or grandfather are paying or you have a 529 plan or financial aid. For the purpose of your Swiss student visa application, you must report parental support. Without parental support, a student visa will not be granted. To complete item number 7, you will need the following: 2 copies of a letter of support from the student's parent or guardian, Simply include 2 copies of a letter that states something like the blurb that we've included. It's supposed to be a very simple letter saying that I, parent or guardian, agreed to provide financial support to my son or daughter during their time at Franklin. Please see attached documents. Signed, parent or guardian. In addition to 2 copies of this letter, you must provide 2 other items. The 2 copies of a parent's passport or driver's license. A driver's license is fine if the parent or guardian does not own a passport. If they have a passport, it is preferred that you use that. You'll need to include 2 photocopies of each of the parent or guardian's passport. The parents must also provide 2 copies of financial statements. This includes either 2 copies of your W-2 from 2022 or bank or asset statements. Any personal information like Social Security number or account numbers can and should be blacked out. Requirement number 8. Please include 2 copies of school documentation. This requirement can be a bit confusing in that if you've already graduated from high school at the time of your visa application, all you need to do is submit 2 copies of your high school diploma. This goes for all incoming students. If you are a study abroad student or a transfer student, you also must find a copy of your high school diploma to submit. If you are currently in high school and if you have not yet graduated, you need to submit the following in lieu of the high school diploma. You must submit a letter from your high school registrar's office or counselor on school letterhead indicating the exact date that you will graduate. The letter should say, I, school registrar or counselor, verify that X student will graduate on X date. You must also then submit a transcript showing all coursework through fall 2023 with the letter from the school official. So again, if you have graduated from high school, you will submit 2 copies of your high school diploma. If you have not graduated from high school, you will need to submit 2 copies of the statement from a high school registrar or counselor, along with transcripts showing coursework through fall 2023. Requirement number 9. You will include 2 copies of a written statement in English and 2 copies in Italian from the student saying that he or she agrees to leave Switzerland after they complete their chosen course of study. We have provided you with the letter template in both Italian and English that you should use. This letter is located underneath the Swiss student visa video within your portal, along with the template letter regarding leaving Switzerland after your completion of study. You will also find under that same section, under the video, a resume template. Item number 10 is 2 copies of a resume in English and Italian. You must copy the example template provided and use that format. Under no circumstance should you provide your own resume that you have created, nor should you change the format of the template we have provided. Do not embellish. Simply list the names of your schools, work, activities, and check the boxes at the bottom. Do not add new check boxes and do not translate the names of clubs and schools. You will then print it out and include it with the visa application. Do not overthink this form. There may be other things that you are involved in that are not listed on the template, and that's okay. It's not a big deal and will not hurt your chances of receiving your visa.
On to number 11. Provide 2 copies of a brief essay in both English and Italian. Really, 1 paragraph is fine to explain the student's future plans. We have provided some templates for your use. You're also welcome to use Google Translate to translate your brief statement into Italian. You will also need to date and sign both documents in blue ink. Please do not provide more than 1 paragraph. And remember, you will need to submit 2 copies in English and 2 copies in Italian. Therefore, have 2 separate copies in English and 2 separate copies in Italian. Item number 12. 2 copies of an employment acknowledgement letter, which should be downloaded, signed, and dated on both copies. This template is provided for you in your student portal. Item number 13. If the student is a minor, under the age of 18 at the time of the application, the parent must include the Declaration for Underage Students. This declaration is required by the Immigration Office of Canton Ticino for the Swiss resident permit application. A copy of the passports of both parents must also be attached to the document once completed. signed, and stamped with the apostille. An explanation of how to obtain an apostille is included in the document, which you will find in your student portal. So let's go through the required documents one more time. 1, you will find 3 copies of the National Type D visa application form with wet signatures. 2, 4 recent original passport photos. Don't forget about the Swiss size. 3, 2 copies of the photo and signature pages of your passport in color. 4, 2 copies of your green card and or visa, if applicable. 5, 2 copies of the enrollment certificate letter provided by Franklin in your student portal. 6, 2 copies of confirmation of payment letter and Swiss medical insurance coverage. Both are provided by Franklin in your student portal. 7, 2 letters from a parent stating financial support. Along with that, 2 photocopies of parent photo identification, and then 2 copies of the financial statements, which can be a W-2 or bank statement. Number 8, 2 copies of high school diploma or a statement from your high school registrar or counselor with a transcript showing all coursework leading to graduation. 9, 2 copies of a written statement in English and Italian from the student saying they will leave Switzerland after their studies are complete. 10, 2 copies of a resume in English and Italian using the template provided by Franklin. You must use this template. 11, 2 copies of a brief essay on the student's future plans in English and Italian. 12, 2 copies of an employment acknowledgement form letter downloaded and signed and dated. And 13, if a minor, 2 copies of a notarized letter providing by the parent stating that the student has permission to leave Switzerland and to travel to Switzerland on their own. Once you have all 12 or 13 of those documents and sort them appropriately, make sure you have a full set of copies for your records. Please triple check that all documents are included along with the required signatures. Put the originals into an envelope and mail them to the appropriate Swiss consulate or embassy. And we'll get to that in a moment. Now let's dive into the actual visa application. Please go into your student portal, and under the visa video, you'll find a link to download the German-English version of the Swiss Type D visa application. We're going to go through each line to ensure you're completing the form correctly. First, you will see that there is a photo box on the top right. You do not need to attach your passport photo to this box. You just need to make sure your photos are included in the package to be mailed. In the application, for question number 1, you will put the student's last name. Number 2, student's last name if different at birth. Number 3, the student's first and any given middle names. 4, the student's birth date. You must include it in the European model, which is the day, the month, and then the year. 5, the place of birth. Also include the country. Number 6, the country of birth. Number 7, current nationality or nationalities, and also if your nationality was different at birth, that must also be included. Number 8, masculine or feminine. Number 9, single. Number 10, father's name, place, and country of birth. Number 11, mother's name, place, and country of birth. For minors, you will complete number 12, and you'll just repeat the parental information. Number 13, all students should have an ordinary passport. Number 14 is your passport number. Number 15, the passport's date of issue. Provide in European date. Number 16 is the passport's date of expiration. Number 17, the applicant's home address and home phone number. You must also include your email. If the Swiss have any questions about your application, they will contact you via email. They will not call you. Number 18, if you have residency status in a country other than your country of nationality, you must submit information about your green card or visa. This pertains to those who are in the U.S. on a green card or visa. If you are a U.S. citizen living in the U.S., simply choose no. Number 19, which is current occupation, the answer is student, and this should already be completed for you. Number 20, Franklin University, Switzerland's address, which should also be filled in for you.
Question 21, you're going to choose studies, education. Question 22, depending on how long you will be staying at Franklin, you must indicate the exact number of months that you will be with us. This should already be filled out for you, but if not, there is an additional document in your portal that will show you the exact months that you need to put on this form. 23, intended date of arrival is 17 January 2024. Please remember to use the European date, style and date. So 17 January 2024. 24 is Franklin's address, and this should also be filled in for you already.
25, you will choose multiple entries. 26, if you have visited Switzerland before, please let them know. If you have not visited Switzerland before, please choose no. Number 27, leave that blank. Number 28 should be Franklin's address, which should already be completed for you. Number 29, attending a Swiss American accredited institution, and this should already be completed for you. Number 30, you should always choose by the applicant himself or herself, regardless of whoever's paying for Franklin. And I know that sounds contradictory to the parental support that's needed and the requirements we talked about above, but please don't worry. It's just what they asked for, so that's what we're going to do. So just put by the applicant himself or herself. After you've completed the form, you can print 3 copies. And again, if you're not able to actually type in your responses, please just print 1 copy, complete it, copy, and then sign. Don't forget that all of them must be original signatures. Make sure there's a date as well. So after you've completed the form, print 3 copies. Don't forget to sign each form, and all must be original signatures. And if you're under the age of 18, your parents will also need to sign. Once you've gathered all of your documents, you'll then submit your Swiss student visa application to the appropriate Swiss representation. In the United States, there are 4 that process visa applications: New York, Atlanta, San Francisco, and the District of Columbia. Where you submit your visa application is determined by where you live, not necessarily what's closest to you. Use the link in your Franklin Student Portal to determine where you send your Swiss student visa application. Please do not Google for a Swiss consulate. We've been requested to tell you to please mail in your visa application. Even if you live in San Francisco, the Swiss do not want you to visit the office to submit the application. They want you to mail it. You may gather all of the documents, put them into a FedEx or UPS or even a USPS envelope. Just any courier service that you can use to track the mail. And you mail them to the Swiss consulate or embassy. We recommend that you use a service that you can track so you know that it got there. Again, the visa page in your student portal will indicate where you need to submit your application. The information shown is also available on the Swiss Embassy's website, which we have provided a link for you in your portal. This is extremely important. Under no circumstance do you submit your application to Franklin or to any other consulate or embassy not listed on this slide. Your application must be delivered by mail to one of these 4 embassies. They will not notify you once they've received your application, nor will they let you know if something is missing. Typically, you won't hear about anything that's missing until it gets to Switzerland, if you're missing anything. They'll push your application to the side if it's not completed correctly. It is up to you to make sure that you've included all the required documents. This is why it's important for you to keep a copy of all the documents you submit with your application. Once you've sent all documents to the Swiss consulate or embassy, there are multiple offices that the application will go through before it is approved. The U.S. consulate you submit your application to will register your information and then notify the immigration office in Bellinzona, Switzerland. Then the Bellinzona office will review and register your application to be forwarded to the immigration office in Lugano. Once in Lugano, the final review takes place, and it is there that the approval takes place. Once you mail your application in, you just have to sit back and wait. Franklin staff will monitor the process with the local authorities in Switzerland. Once your visa is approved, we will review the authorization form and we will notify you by email on how to receive your visa. The consulate will not provide updates if you email or call. No news is good news. Simply, you have to wait and see. It will seem that the process is taking a little bit longer for your visa, but we promise you that we are keeping track of it. That's why we need you to contact your admissions counselor as soon as you mail it in. That date provides us kind of a timeline because we kind of know how long it takes for the mail to go out, to reach Switzerland and all that. So, have to sit back and wait. You can reach out to your admissions counselor for updates. We probably won't have any. We will reach out to you by email once your visa has been approved with the next steps. So the approval process. We will notify you by email that your student visa was approved. The email will contain an attachment with your Swiss visa authorization. The authorization provided to you is not the actual visa that will be placed in your passport. You must immediately send your passport and a copy of the visa authorization to the same embassy or consulate that you originally applied. Make sure that you also include a prepaid self-addressed return envelope from the same courier service. What will happen is the Swiss consulate or embassy will receive the authorization and passport. They will put the stamp into your passport and mail it back to you in the prepaid self-addressed return envelope. If you do not include the prepaid self-addressed return envelope, they will simply hold your passport for eternity and they will not return it to you until you send them a prepaid self-addressed envelope. So again, once your visa has been approved, Franklin will let you know and we will email you a copy of the visa authorization form, which is in Italian, along with instructions on what to do next. You'll include this form with your passport and send it off to the Swiss consulate or embassy, and they'll return the visa included in your passport. Your visa will have an expiration date in February. This is normal and intentional. Once you arrive on campus, you will work with our Student Life office to generate and receive your Swiss residence permit. Once you have your permit, you will use that to enter and exit Switzerland as you need throughout your time with us. Again, do not worry about the expiration date on your visa. This is only for your initial entry into Switzerland.
If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact your admissions representative or myself. Our contact information is on our website and on the slide you see here. Again, all documents and information can be found within your student portal under the Immigration tab. Thank you so much for your time today, and let us know if we can be of any assistance to you.